Hi guys, I'm colouring up this cute little image by Jenny Luan. It is from her book Anime Doodle Girls, and this is Pisces. So let's go in and have a look. So guys, I've printed this image up on the Canson marker illustrator paper, and I have printed it as an A5 image, so it's a little bit smaller than the full A4 page. I just find it a little bit easier sometimes to have it a little bit smaller. Also, I'm not going in and using a lot of inks by doing it smaller like that as well. So I have printed it just with my inkjet printer, this one, and it has been heat set with, I actually run this one through my laser printer to heat set it as well. So I'm coming in to, I just realized that this paper is slightly more thinner, and when I do put on a color, the color from the background actually comes through, and sometimes it can make the color of the skin look a different color, but it's actually not. So I've just put white underneath it again just to show you that there. So I'm coming in with YR000, and I'm just coming in and covering all over the skin with this one. So I've done a couple of different things through this one today. We've got underwater, and we've also got obviously mermaids, so there's going to be some blue and things like that through the skin as well. So I'm just coming in and filling out that first. So I'm coming in with B40, and I'm coming into the shadow areas and just putting a little bit of this down. I've got some RV00, and I'm just going over the top of that previous colour and just deepening it up a little bit more. So I'm being sure to make sure I put shape in the cheek area there to show a little bit of blush and some shape there in the corners as well. And I'm using it just to line out all of the shadow areas around the face to create some facial features. So I just missed the ear there, so I'm just going to go in and refill out that area, and also put the shadow areas back into underneath the tail there. I didn't put any of that in before, so I'm just making sure I fill that in now. So I'm just going to deepen up all of those shadows again with that B40. I'm just coming back in with that RV00 and just deepening that up a little further. I'm going to use some YR00 now, and I'm using this over the top of the previous two colours. So we're just deepening up the shadow areas and just sort of, I guess, marking them in now permanently. I've also come in and just done all around the facial features and things like that with that as well, just to give it some depth and character. So I've got some E000 and I'm coming in over the top of all of that now just to blend that in nice and smooth. Now I'm actually really liking this paper. It's a little bit easier to blend, which is great. I've just missed some blue there, so I'm coming back in to do the blue and the pink again, just to go into those shadow areas on the parts that I missed there, and then coming back over it with the same colours as before. Just missed the ears, that was all. I'm going in over the whole area with E000 now just to get that nicely blended. As I was saying, that paper is really nice. I quite like it. It does blend nice and easy. It is nice and smooth. And I think it isn't as thick as the other paper, so there's not as much squeakiness and things like that on it, which I really liked as well. So I'm just coming in and finishing off covering over that area now with the E000. So I'm just going to come in randomly with those few colours that I have used so far and just deepen up those shadow areas a bit more. So I'm going to use a little bit of the RV 00, some more Y000, just to bring a little bit more colour through and help to blend that out nicely. So I've got that YR000 now again, and I'm just going back in. I want the skin to be a little bit pinky toned, and they're going to have I guess a little bit of blue reflecting on them. That's why I've done the shadows in that one blue. So I'm going to bring in a darker shadow now. I've got some YR02 and I'm going to use this on the eyeshadow and in some of the shadow areas as well. I'm also going to mark out the lips. So we've just got some plain skin on there. There's no lips actually marked out. So I've just marked out a couple of I guess ovals there to make it look a little bit like a heart to fill in the lips there as well. I'm also going to put this around the corners of the eyes and into the ears just to create some more depth there. I'm going to blend it out with YR00 just on those areas that I went over already. So once you've done those skin tones, you might be happy with it where it is, that's fine. If you still think you need a little bit of work on the shadows and things like that, then come in and do another layer of those as well. So sometimes I will actually leave that until after I've done the hair and things like that, just to make sure that it definitely needs it, and then having the hair in the background sometimes helps to define the features and things in the face that you might not be able to see as much now that there's no color around it. Also the same comes to with being a dark color, so if you think the skin is too dark, don't try to lighten it unless you've put the rest of the details in, because sometimes that will soften up a bit as well. So I'm using that YR02 and I've just come in and marked out on all of the shells on part of the hair there and also the big shell on the top there as well. I'm going to use this color as well as a base color for the tail section here as well. So we're going to do a little bit of mixing through on colors, so I'll just say them as they come out. So I've got some YR65 and I'm going to use this for the shadow areas. So I'm going to bring it on either side of each of these sections here to create the illusion that it's curving over, to put some shadow on either side of it and a little bit of a highlight in the middle. Now because this paper is really good with a colorless blender, I'm going to use that a little bit to help me bleed out those middle sections, just to make it look a little bit more lighter, so that highlight is standing out a little bit more as well. So I'm just going over that now with the colourless blender. So I'm going to use some darker orange now to put some shadows into these little shells on the hair there. So I'm going to use some YR15 and just go onto one side of this, each of these sections, so to create that shadow line on each side. So just on these sections as well, but just in the edges or towards where they bunch up together, I'm just putting a bit of that colour through. I just noticed also that I've missed a little bit on top of the hair there with those little shells. I'll fix them up later. I'm coming back in with that same color and just deepening up these shadow areas on the tail there as well. So we want it to look like that the tail's curved, each of those parts are curved around. So I'm going to blend them out with the YR02 and then again with the YR00 later on. Actually, I'll just use the clear blender, I think, to blend that in. I quite like the look of that, and because, as I said, I really like the way the blending marker actually works on this paper. It comes out quite nice. So I've got that YR15 again, and I'm coming back in just to fill out the shadow areas on this part. So you can see on the bottom tail there that it's already starting to look curved. It looks like each parts of those tails is actually rolling underneath the other part. Got that YO2 and just blending that out, and then I've got that colorless blender again. So I've got YR00 again, and I'm just blending that YR15 out a bit. I'm going to use the colorless blender now, and I'm going to create some little white spots on these little shells here. So you can see each section I'm just dotting in the colorless blender just to remove the ink in that area. So you can see now that there's already a couple of little spots starting to come up on that area. So I'm just doing a layer of B40 and coming over the entire tail area now. So I'm going to use a little bit of the same colours we used on the gold effects video a little while ago. Also, I have an more in-depth one of this on Patreon as well, so if you're interested in looking at that, you can just pop over to Patreon and have a look at the posts that I've got there. So I've used some E47 for the shadow areas. I'm coming over that now with some Y23, and then I'm going to blend that out with some Y17 or 15 I should say. I'm just leaving a gap in between each section that I've done there just to create that highlight look on all of the gold areas. I'm also making sure here that I do the earrings as well, because they'll actually be gold as well. If you would like the full color list with the pencil conversions, they are available on Patreon. I do have them available for the lower tier level, so you can grab those fairly good price, and also it does help me out, especially with the time that it does take to create those lists and things for you. So I'm coming in now with BG23, and I'm going to just go and mark out the shadow areas of the tail. So you can see here that each of the tail pieces is curled under. I'm going to create a shadow where that's happening. So I'm putting this on one side of each of those sections there, and also just up the top there, and I'm kind of feathering it out a little bit just so I can blend it nicely with the next color there. So I'm going to continue on and finish off the remainder of the tail exactly the same way. So on the opposite side of the tail, I'm going to come in the opposite direction, just like I have on this first one here. I'm going to repeat this step onto the tail in the front here as well. So I'm going to use some BG01 now, and I'm just going to go in and blend out each of those areas on the tail that I've already done. So I'm not going to come over the full area, I'm going to make sure I leave a gap there for the lighter colour. So I really liked doing these sort of lighter, paler colours in this image, and then putting in a darker background. So it really makes the image pop out, and I really love how that looks and came out. Something a little bit different, and I really liked doing it and trying something new. So I'm going to blend that out now into the lightest area. I've got BG40, and I'm just coming in over the entire area now. I'm blending that and smoothing it off just to give it that nice smooth blend. I'm going to grab that colourless blender again, and I'm just going to go in and just lighten up the highlight area just on the edge of each of these pieces of the tail. So I'm going to do a Patreon extended video for some of this image here, so I'm going to go into depth a little bit more about the colourless blender and also have a look at skin there as well. So just check out the description below if you're interested in that too. Also, if you are interested in doing some full online courses, then please do have a look at Kit and Clowder. They've got some awesome classes there. They are in the description below. If you do go up and sign up for a class, please let Elise know that I did send you. So we're going to do the eyes now. I'm using some BG45 then, 49, and I'm blending that out now with BG07. So I wanted the aqua sort of look to come through because I'm going to use this in the background and things like that as well. So I'm going to blend that out now and put the final highlight colour on. I've got BG15 to do that now. So you can see the little bottom sections of the eyes there are a lot lighter than the rest of it, which gives it a little bit of a curved effect there. So this image was quite quick. It is because the A5 size, it is a little bit smaller than a normal image, so it doesn't take as long to blend and things like that either. I've used the C0 there, and I've got some C3 as well. I'm just coming in and just lining out the shadows on the eyes there as well. So this colourless blender I have really enjoyed doing on this paper. So you can see now the shell looks really good. You can see the little dots there in it, and also you can see some nice highlights and depth in the tail there as well. So I'm coming in now to do the tail. I'm going to use some B02 on the bottom of each section of this tail area. So this is all the larger part of the tail that we're doing now. I'm going to blend it out with some RV02, and then I'm going to use some YR02 at the top of it. And we're going to just blend it all out nicely with some colourless blender and also some YR00. So I'm coming in with the RV02 now over the B02. Just coming over the top of it and blending it further out towards the other edge. So now I'm coming in with that YR02, coming back from the top of the tail and just bringing it further in towards the middle. I'm going to grab the RV02 again and just blend this up towards that colour and over the top of it as well. Then I'm going to use a colourless blender just to smooth it nicely over, and then I'm going to come back in with YR00 to go over that again. So I'm going to bring in some YR15 into the other parts of the tail here and just do the shadow areas first. I'm going to go around the little spots on the tail there because I'm going to come in with some B02 to fill those out in a minute. So I'm just coming into the shadow sides with YR15 first, and then I've got some YR02. I'm going to come in and cover the rest of the area up, leaving those dots free. And then I've got some B02 and I'm going to fill in those little spots there as well, and I'm going to repeat this up the top there as well. And again, I'm just using that colourless blender again just to blend out the highlighted areas there and make them a little bit brighter. So with an image like this, there are lots of little details that you could go in separately to do. I've decided to treat them as a whole and just blend over the top of them and use them as a pattern for the hair. So just to make it a little bit easier, it doesn't take as much time and it still looks effective. So I'm coming in with B02 to do the blue parts of the hair. So I've picked the front of the hair to do this. You don't need to use this particular colour as long as you've got a highlight colour, a mid-tone and a dark colour. There's no problems with using any other colour to do this section here. In fact, the whole picture you could pick your own colours with. Just use the same sort of, I guess, details that I have to get your curved look and your the folds in the tail and things like that as well. So I'm coming in now with YR02 and I'm just putting in some little detailed areas. Sorry, that was YR15, and I'm putting in some little detailed areas around the hair now. So with the blue, I just went in and marked out the shadow areas first. I've got some YR0 and I've put that in the middle there. I'm going to use some RV02 for the remainder of these sections here, and I'm going to use a lighter pink colour to go over the entire area. It's got RV00, just blending that in. So we're still creating a little bit of depth and shadow through these areas, but we're not putting too much detail into it. So guys, I did actually want to get this video out a little bit sooner. I have been having heaps of trouble with computers and trying to get the software to work properly on the computers. So I just finished off those fans on the top of the head there that I missed earlier. That was with the YR02. So technical difficulties have stopped me from being able to do things. I did try to put the program onto a different computer, which caused even more problems and wasted a lot more of my time. So I should have just stuck with what I had previously. But I guess, if I don't try to figure out how to do this a little bit quicker and a little bit better for you, then you're not going to be able to get the content that you might want. So I do apologize for not having it out sooner. So I'm going to come in and finish the rest of the hair now, and then we're going to do the background area as well. So with those technical difficulties, I did miss a part of the hair here at the back. So I have just used exactly the same colours that I've used throughout the image, and I've just created some highlight and depth with those colours through the hair. I've just gone over the top of the patterns that were already there because I quite liked them and I liked having that pattern come through. So that's all I did with the hair in the background. So I used the oranges, the greens and the blues to do that. So now I'm going to move on to the background part because I actually skipped this small little part of the video here. So I'm going to use some deep turquoise green colours in here. I've got some BG49 and I've just started from the bottom and coloured in that section there, and now I've come into the middle part here to fill this out. So just coming in and I'm just flicking the marker up towards the top of the image. So I'm going over some sections just to smooth it out a little bit so it's nice and smooth there. I'm going to go all the way to near the top, and then I'm just going to put a lighter colour right at the top there, and then I'm going to come in and we're going to put in a little bit of seaweed, and then we'll put in our white highlights and things in there as well, with some spots and bubbles and things like that in there as well. So to help cover the blend between the darker and the lighter colour, putting in the white over the top of that helps you to not be able to see that sort of transition in the background as well. So I'm just coming in and just filling that colour out now, and I'm going over it again just to make sure that it's nice and smooth there. So that's why I've gone over it a few times there. So just keep flicking up towards the top of the page. So I've got some BG07 and I'm coming a little bit further up with that now. So I'm going over the areas I've done previously and I'm blending this up and out a little bit further. This is to help to transition that nice and smooth. So I'm coming in to do the top section now. I'm going to grab a lighter colour again. Got BG05 and I'm just going to go to the top of the page now, and I'm going to come down into the other colour as well. So just blending that in nice and smoothly to create a nice smooth blend from light, dark to light to the top there. So I'm going to colour in the bubbles a little bit as well. I'm going to use the same colours that I've used throughout the image, and then I'm going to put on some white highlights. So there's not really much more else that I can let you know here. I will pop through and put some details in the description of where you can get the book, and also the other details about my favourite products, blog, Instagram, also on Facebook, and if you haven't subscribed already to the channel and you'd like to receive notifications on that, please do subscribe. Also too, I've just got a whole heap of little flip throughs I'm going to do for some Jade Summers books. I've had a few requests for those, so I'm just doing them quite quickly on just on just a quick flick through basically of the images, because I've got I've purchased some digital images of those, so I'm going to go and do some of those as well over the next week or so. So I'm just going to come in and finish this off now. So I'm just finishing this off now, and then I'm going to move ahead to the white. I'm going to use some some BG23 into the bubbles, and then just blend it out with a bit of G00. I'm going to do that at the end there when I finish off the white sections as well. So I've just got that BG23 and I'm just going to do some of the bubbles now. So I'm going to put a line in the left side of each of those bubbles. And I'm just blending that out with G00 now. Putting in the highlights now with the white. I'm going to put some little highlights on each of the bubbles there as well. So once I've done this, I'm just going to grab my darker BG marker. I've got BG78 and I'm going to mark in some seaweed. So guys, I've just grabbed that really dark marker there and I'm just coming in and putting some squiggly lines up and through the picture. So I'm kind of bending my marker a little bit flatter so that I get a little bit thicker lines there and just bringing them up towards to the top of the page there. It did just create a little bit more, I guess it just made the image a little bit more detailed, and also too it made that blend a little bit smoother and a little less I guess eye-catching as well. So that's it. So I've just popped in some white gel pen there for some bubbles and I'm popping that through now. So guys, thanks so much for watching.